Okay, picture this. It's Paris in the 1920s. The city is just buzzing with new ideas, right? And into this whole scene walks this mysterious teacher. And he's carrying this ancient wisdom that's meant to completely flip how we see ourselves and really our place in the entire universe.
So let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're just on autopilot? You're going through the motions day in, day out, reacting in the same old ways, kind of like a puppet on a string? It's a feeling we all get for sure. But what if I told you there was a teacher who said, hey, that's not the real you?
And this right here, this is the core problem that a guy named George Gurdjieff was all about solving. His whole thing was that most of us are basically living in a state of waking sleep. We're just living mechanically, completely unaware of our real potential. So what he created was in essence an alarm clock for the soul.
All right, so this mission to wake humanity up, it really kicks into high gear when Gurdjieff shows up in Paris. I mean, after traveling for years, gathering all this amazing knowledge from Central Asia and the Middle East, he zeroes in on Paris as the new headquarters for his, well, pretty radical ideas.
And wow, what a perfect place to land. Post-war Paris was just electric. It was this melting pot of artists, writers, and thinkers. Everyone was searching for something more, something deeper than just stuff. They were the absolute perfect, fertile ground for the seeds of wisdom Gurdjieff was about to plant.
So what did you call this system? The fourth way. And you have to understand, this was a total game changer. This wasn't about running off to a monastery or meditating on a mountaintop. No, this was a path for us, for people living in the modern world, with jobs, families, all of it. The whole idea was that your laboratory for self-discovery was your actual everyday life.
And this was such a radical idea at the time. I mean, think about the traditional paths, the way of the monk, the fakir, the yogi. They all pretty much required you to withdraw from the world. But Gurdjieff, he was saying the complete opposite. He insisted that real, lasting change had to happen right in the middle of all the chaos of our normal lives.
Okay, so to actually put all these ideas into practice, Gurdjieff did something pretty incredible. He set up this unique community just outside Paris. But, it wasn't a school and it wasn't a monastery. It was something else entirely.
He called it a living laboratory, and that's exactly what it was. Every single thing about the place was deliberately designed to push people way past their comfort zones. It was all about forcing them to see their own automatic, mechanical habits, to really speed up that whole process of waking up. And believe me, life there was intense. I mean, just look at the key elements. They did heavy physical labor, right? Not just for the sake of it, but to show them their own mechanical tendencies. They lived together in a community to strip away all the social masks and expose the ego. They practiced these incredibly complex sacred dances called the movements to bring mind and body into alignment. And of course, there were lectures to give them the whole framework, the why behind everything they were doing.
So that all sounds pretty wild, right? But how did they actually do it? What were the specific tools, the actual practices Gurdjieff taught them to break out of these deep-rooted automatic patterns?
Well, the absolute cornerstone of the whole system was something called self-observation. And let's be clear, this isn't just, spacing out or daydreaming. We're talking about a super disciplined, moment-by-moment focus on your inner world, your thoughts, your feelings, even your posture. But here's the key, without judging any of it.
And building on that foundation were all these other really powerful practices, like the famous stop exercise. Gurdjieff would just shout stop, and everyone, no matter what they were doing, had to freeze completely. It gave them this shocking, instant snapshot of their inner state. They also worked on telling the difference between their essence, who they really are, and their personality, the artificial self they'd built up over the years. It was all about spotting those dozens of conflicting little I's that are usually running the show inside us.
Now, this is a super important point. These methods could be really, really tough, even shocking. But they weren't just about making people suffer for no reason. Not at all. There was a very precise purpose, to create just enough inner friction to jolt a person out of that complacency, out of that waking sleep.
But this whole intense, focused period at the Institute, well, it wasn't meant to last forever. A single, dramatic event was about to happen that would change the entire course of the work for good.
So here's what happened. In 1924, Gurdjieff had a near-fatal car accident, and this was the turning point. After that, the Institute, as this residential community, was slowly dismantled. His whole focus shifted. He turned to writing and began to share his teachings in a completely different way.
Yeah, the work really had to evolve. Without that intense pressure cooker environment of the Priory,
The new focus became all about taking these powerful ideas and weaving them directly into the fabric of your normal everyday life, which, when you think about it, was kind of the whole point of the fourth way from the very beginning.
And this is where the story gets really interesting, because this is where we see just how powerful those seeds planted back in Paris really were. They didn't just wither and die when the Institute closed. Oh no, they started to spread and grow in all these new and totally unexpected ways.
So, how did it evolve? Well, it decentralized. Instead of one big center, you had all these smaller, independent groups popping up all over the world. His books, especially that massive one, Beelzebub's Tales to His Grandson, became a central teaching tool, and he kept personally mentoring the people who would go on to carry the torch.
And the impact of all this was huge. Gurdjieff's ideas started to seep into everything: Western spirituality, psychology, even the arts. You even had major figures like the psychologist C.G. Jung, who was digging into the unconscious himself, openly acknowledging how deep and practical Gurdjieff's insights really were.
So when you look back, what started in that living laboratory just outside Paris really did grow into this incredible global legacy. It's like a complex, sturdy tree of knowledge that's still bearing fruit today for anyone who's willing to take on the, let's face it, very tough journey of self-discovery.
And that brings us to one last thought, a question taken straight from the work itself. And maybe it's the most important one of all. As you go about your day, in those little moments of decision or frustration, just stop and ask yourself, who is speaking in me right now? Is it the real you, or is it just another one of those automatic mechanical habits? Just asking that simple question, well, that's the first real step to waking up.